melody make you want to move? Welcome, KZOOMers.
So good to see you.
Wow. We have a new computer, and it is Alone's birthday today. Alone, you can
raise your
hand there, Alone. And it is my Erev birthday.
So Mañana, tomorrow.
So because we're Jewish, we started it. We started now, right? And because we're crazy for birthdays, we started it a few days ago.
A whole week.
So we've been celebrating. Yeah. This is a special KZOOM also because I'm, calling this KZOOM is dedicated to the secret garden of the soul. And the soul it's such an important language for me to talk about the soul, because it makes all the difference. Because I have this little me, and then there is this big, beyond me that I come from and through, and that energy of my soul, is what I want to open to. Because my soul is connected to the infinite, and I always feel like when I work with my heart, I'm working with a nexus place between the infinite and the finite, and I want to stand at that nexus point in my life. I want to live my life at the interstice between the finite and the infinite. Because I need to give myself to this finite world and manage it in all its details, and at the same time I want to know that it's this tiny little slice of the whole of reality, of the big reality, and so I want to keep an awareness of soul, which is connected to the big reality all the time. And so there's ways that we work with the soul to have it to be more present, more forward in our awareness, so that it keeps us from getting stuck in the smaller perspective, because that wider perspective is then available to us, and we can dip into it when we need to. And so in the Song of Songs, that wide perspective, that place,
it's often evoked.
Yeah, but we enter through this the innerness of our being, and which is sometimes counterintuitive, because there's a feeling always of wanting to go out there to find the answer, and I feel like the Song of Songs has been sort of sending me to my own secret garden, and spring, really. So the verse that I'm working with that is sending us to this KZOOM is a verse that 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 that, that calls forth these two images of an enclosed or a locked garden and an enclosed or locked up and sealed spring. So the two images of the garden and the spring are soul images, and kind of teach us that that we need to enter in, that this garden is, and this spring, it takes some effort or deliberateness to enter into it, and there are times when it is that it seems locked, and we need to sort of make a bit of an effort to enter into that garden, and to also to the spring that is within it, which the spring is the connection to the infinite resource. So the chant says, Gan Na'ul, achoti, challah. Gan Na'ul, achoti, challah. And I'm going to say it twice. And when I'm saying it twice, the first time I chant it, I'm going to chant Gan Na'ul, achoti, challah. And with that, there's a sense of yearning, of wanting to go into that enclosed garden, the place of my soul that is maybe hidden from me. So as I chanted the first time, I am, feeling that yearning and attempting to kind of reach into my soul. And then when I sing it again, I feel like I'm inside already. And I'm kind of looking around at this beautiful garden that I had noticed before. And that sounds like Gan Na'ul, Gan Na'ul, achoti, challah. And so I want to feel kind of the verdancy and the deliciousness and the diversity of that garden of the soul when I'm chanting it. And then I sing Gan Na'ul, mayan, Chatum, because I'm saying, in this garden, isn't there a fountain? Isn't there a hidden fountain? It might be closed up, and I'm searching for it. So I say, Gan Na'ul, mayan, Chatum. And then I find it in the last repetition, and I become that fountain. Gan Na'ul, mayan, Chatum. So would you take this journey with me?
Yes, I would love to.
So we want to journey, and what we're doing is we're journeying into the expanse of our own souls. We're taking that journey from the little me into the vast soul that we are. And it feels like when I do this for myself, then I look out in the world and I see, each person I see also has that vastness enclosed, that I'm here to unlock with my vision, my prophecy.
I love to unlock something that has been hidden from me. Ooh, I gotta go find it. So let's find it.
Okay.
Hidden fountain.
So remember, the first time we chant it, we're gonna look. We're looking for it. We know it's there. Gan Na'ul, achoti, challah. And then we step inside. Gan Na'ul, achoti, challah. And then we look for the fountain. Gan Na'ul, mayan, Chatum. then we become that fountain. Gan Na'ul, mayan, Chatum. Gan Na'ul, achoti, Gan Na'ul, achoti, Gan Na'ul, mayan, Chatum. Gan Na'ul, mayan, Chatum. Searching for the garden. Gan Na'ul, achoti, challah. Stepping inside. Gan Na'ul, achoti, challah. And search for that hidden spring. Gan Na'ul, mayan, Chatum. And feel yourself to be that spring. Allow it through. Gan Na'ul, mayan, Chatum. Gan Na'ul, achoti, challah. Gan Na'ul, achoti, challah. Gan Na'ul, mayan, Chatum. Gan Na'ul, mayan, Chatum. Gan Na'ul, achoti, Gan Na'ul, achoti, Gan Na'ul, mayan, Chatum. Gan Na'ul, mayan, Chatum. Gan Na'ul, achoti, challah. Gan Na'ul, achoti, Gan Na'ul, mayan, Chatum. Gan Na'ul, mayan, Chatum. Searching for the garden. Gan entering into the garden of the soul, that vast, vast place. Gan Na'ul, achoti, and looking in through that garden, finding the hidden spring. Gan Na'ul, mayan, unlocking the flow. Gan Na'ul, mayan, Chatum. Once more, looking for the garden. Gan Na'ul,
achoti,
stepping inside.
Gan Na'ul,
Achoti. And where's that hidden spring?
Gan Na'ul, mayan, Chatum, Gan Na'ul, mayan, Chatum.
So I invite you to close your eyes. Feel that hidden spring inside you. And imagine your breath is the power of unlocking that spring inside you. Feeling it pouring through you, the life force, directly from source, pouring through you as the breath. So we are that garden and we are that spring. And sometimes that spring, that garden need the enclosure, needs the containment. And the reason that I close my eyes when I'm chanting is because I'm building up the power of the chant. And I need to enclose that garden. I need to seal that spring, or else, sort of the energy dissipates. And it's also true, in our lives, to look at our lives and to look at the quality of, what is the quality of your boundaries? How do you create the love, I call it, loving boundaries. And those loving boundaries allow you to fulfill who you are, because you're not always at the beck and call of other people's energies. It's like there's something from within that is building up, and not just reacting to this world, but becoming the channel for the divine flow. And sometimes to do that, sometimes we need boundaries, we need containment, and we need to build up our own personal power, and not just let it dissipate. And so I think those images of the spring and the fountain, the spring, the sealed spring, the hidden fountain, the enclosed garden. And even though that garden is enclosed, it's infinite. You can keep going deeper and deeper into the garden and find kind of this richness of soul. So I want us just to stay, for a moment with those images of the garden and of the spring, and allow them to sort of feel like inside I'm expanding to meet those edges, and that I want to establish kind of access to the infinite within my own heart. So what I wanted to do a practice that is just an amazing, one of my favorite lines of Torah, from Ecclesiastes, from Kohelet, and it is a kind of a pointing to that mystery of the infinite that is within us, and it says also something that is kind of counterintuitive. It says everything, God makes everything beautiful in its time. God makes everything beautiful. It's like there is a perfection in this world, and it is, that everything is exactly in its place, in its time. It's happening right now. That process of creation, of recreation. Alone's birthday. You are alone. You are being recreated at this very moment. This is your time.
Yeah, brother.
And then the second part of the phrase says, and also hides the universe in their hearts.
Wow.
That's how. And I get that. I understand that translation. It's like et-ha-olam. So the olam is a kind of the infinite, right? And it's the infinite of time and space. Gan ha-olam. So that universe, that infinite, natan bilibam, it's put inside our hearts for us to find. There's a mystery planted there, so that we can take the journey of our lives to find it, to find what is in us, what has been in us all along. So I feel like every time I come to this phrase, I could just keep going with it. It's that it is a kind of a koan, a mystery that I want to hold. And I call it knowing beauty and finding the universe. So before we begin, just breathe into the heart and imagine a portal there that is the portal to the infinite in your heart. And we want to kind of celebrate that portal and step through, and in our practice establish that access to the mystery inside us. Et-Kol yafeh Gan Na'ul natan Gan Na'ul natan Et-Kol yafeh Gan Na'ul natan Gan natan
yafeh
Close your eyes, enter into that enclosed garden of the heart, and allow the breath to be the hidden fountain, breathing from the source into that garden of our lives. Feeling those safe boundaries that keep on expanding. Connecting ourselves to that hidden spring. And also feeling ourselves connected to the whole universe from within. So there are times when it feels like that spring gets so hidden that it's sealed. It's, we don't have access to it. And so it reminded me of a story in the book of Numbers. And this was after the prophet Miriam died. And the people were thirsty because Miriam had a way with water. She was like connected to the spring of prophecy and of artistry. And when she died, it became really difficult. The people were thirsty, that's what the text says. And they go, they're wandering through the wilderness, and they face all kinds of challenges in the wilderness, and a lot of the challenges have to do with being connected to the flow. And in a way, when Miriam died, it's a kind of a story of being disconnected from that flow, and our job is to reconnect and reconnect with the flow of prophecy and the flow of beauty, and so what happens in the story is that the people go out into the wilderness and they find that sealed spring, and God says, chant her up, chant her up. Mm-hmm. It's like that kind of like feminine flow that has been stopped up. It needs your chant, your love, and these ancient. This is like a very ancient. It says, "Sing this song to that sealed spring, and you will be reconnected to the flow." And the words say, our ancestors looking at this sealed spring, imagine them saying, looking at it and saying, "Rise up, oh well." Let's chant her up. And we're chanting up the Shekhinah, the divine presence that is sometimes feels locked up in the world. And so we want to, sort of find a way to call it forth again. And so whenever I do a practice, I always want to look at this question of, do I need this? And to the extent that I need it, then I can call forth the power of the chant. If I don't realize that I need it, then it doesn't necessarily work, really. So I want to just ask everyone to look inside their own hearts to find where the sealed spring might be, the place that is maybe not yet flowing. And just to take a moment to sort of sit with that sealed spring, kind of like, oh, I know it's there, but it's not yet flowing. And then we want to chant. And when I chant, I'm chanting out, and I'm also chanting in. So chanting in to that sealed spring inside us. Calling it forth. ehnu-lah, ehnu-lah,
ehnu-lah,
and ask the question, what is it that stops up the flow? What is it that kind of seals the spring, that locks it inside me? And if you have an answer you want to put it in the chat so we can just sort of lay that on the altar of the chant. I'm going to say for myself, just self-consciousness, shame, fear, tiredness, feeling forgotten, conditional beliefs, anger, judgment, doubt, constriction, anxiety, distrust, pain, losing myself to others' expectation, not trusting myself. So I want to feel these obstacles on the that are kind of locking up that hidden spring. Treating myself with benign neglect. So these are old patterns that maybe we are outgrowing. Avoidance of pain, expectations. So I want to chant again, chant up that hidden spring inside us. ehnu-lah, 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 ehnu-lah. As you breathe into the heart and feel that spring, hidden spring being revealed. And the same word that means reveal also means the spring, Gao. It's an ancient word that says this, that the spring is what reveals the divine presence from inside and allows it to flow. So that word Gal. So breathing into the heart, finding your own inner spring, unlocking the heart. And I invite you now to open your eyes and to look at into the Zoom room, and to say, oh, I suspect that each of us has that hidden spring. And sometimes I can't find my own, but you can find mine.
Or I can see yours and
I
you.
I can see yours and you can't see your own. So find a face, that you're looking at that spring coming forth. and let's chant it once more, and this time chant it to the spring in someone else. Ehnu-lah, 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 and receive the soul of their inner water. Just receive it. Have a glimpse into the garden of that soul. So I think that what all of these practices point to is that there needs to be kind of a channel from the deepest truth to our outer expression. And that's really what we're doing with our chant, with our speech, with our life. We want our outer lives to be connected to that inner truth, that inner, place of source connection. And another way to say this is that, that this is the process of awakening. Freeing that place that's locked up, the place of the infinite that's locked up inside, freeing it is the process of awakening. So I want to do this one more practice, which comes from a Yom Kippur Piyyut, which quotes the Song of Songs in it. And it says, awaken the bright light of the rose of the depths. And which kind of brings me back to the garden, and we want to go, didn't Joni Mitchell say that?
Back to the garden.
Back to the garden. And so, the garden, it's like the Eden, and the word Eden, it means delight. That's our inheritance. We leave the garden, and we find our way back, because when we find our way back by going in through our own hearts into that garden that is the Garden of Eden, the Garden of Delight. But there is an awakening that needs to happen. And so often when I do this practice, I find an image of a bud, of a flower, closed up inside my heart, just a rosebud closed up tight. And I want to sing to that bud, which represents my potential, my possibility of flowering, and maybe being reborn on my birthday in a few hours. To allow that to open, and to allow the fragrance of that is my own true fragrance to waft out. And I love that this kind of mixing of metaphors, that rose is a bright light. You can imagine that it has a shining quality to it, that it is radiant, but it's in process. It's closed up tight as a bud, and so the practice is to feel that bud inside us and to chant her up. Just like we chanted up the well, we're going to chant up the bud and allow it to open. And in the silence after the chant, I'm going to ask us to do a certain kind of breathing, where we'll breathe all the way out and keep the breath out as long as we can. And then when the breath wants to come into us, let the rose open. Okay.
Nice.
Yeah. This is a practice I learned from Rajneesh.
Okay. Do we need drum? Do we need drum?
Let's see. No. Okay. So everybody have that bud in their heart. Let's say no. I know Raphael's going to say, this bud's for you.
I'm
Are you going to
sure
say
that's
that?
what he's going to say. Don't encourage it. Don't encourage it.
Shoshanat amakim Oraryr ke'or nogah Oraryr ke'or nogah Oraryr ke'or nogah shoshanat amakim Oraryr ke'or nogah Oraryr ke'or nogah Oraryr ke'or nogah shoshanat amakim Oraryr ke'or nogah Oraryr ke'or nogah Oraryr ke'or nogah shoshanat amakim Oraryr ke'or nogah Oraryr ke'or nogah Oraryr ke'or nogah shoshanat amakim Oraryr ke'or nogah Oraryr ke'or nogah Oraryr ke'or nogah shoshanat amakim Oraryr
shoshanat hamakim Oraryr, I forgot. Oraryr nogah, Oraryr nogah, Oraryr nogah, shoshanat hamakim Oraryr nogah, Oraryr nogah, Oraryr nogah, shoshanat hamakim Oraryr nogah, Oraryr nogah, shoshanat hamakim Oraryr nogah, shoshanat
Close your eyes, bring your attention to that image of the bud, the rosebud inside your heart, and breathe into it, and breathe out. And this time when you breathe out, hold the breath out as long as you can. When you can't hold it out any longer, let the breath rush in and open up that bud in the heart. Can't you almost smell that fragrance? That beauty. And they say that the scent of the rose has the highest vibration.
Yeah.
It connects us. So I invite you to first to take a look around the KZOOM room, to thank everyone here who has been bringing their blessing here.
So good to see you, everybody.
And
It's a highlight to our week. Yours too. Happy birthday's coming in.
So if you would like sometime, come to the website, give a little donation, check out to see if there's some retreat that you want to go to, because there are retreats now that are going to be happening in the summer, and I'd love to be able to chant with you in person. And we're going to have a KZOOM next Thursday. And it'll be the night before
night before
Erev. And there's no parsha, and so I'm going to just look in to see what practices might help us to prepare for our liberation, our journey of liberation, and I will send those out to you. So anybody who'd like to take a little time to debrief, to reflect on the practice, to share what has touched you.
If you need to leave, we love you. Bye.
Yeah, if anybody who's staying, I'm going to put you in a breakout room for. Let's see. can take.
4.
Yeah.
You should get it down to
4.
3.
Oh.
Second.
4 is good.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
that's
3
a
is
3.
and 4 is.
Good.
Okay. So I'm going to call you back
Okay.
in 10 minutes. All right. Let's see. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. There's one person in a room by themselves.
Oh, dear.
Julie, aren't you? Are you going?
Sophia
Julia's going.
Oh, we can,
No.
we can be with.
Oh, there she went. She went. Janice.
I think I didn't figure out how to go into a breakout room on my phone.
So good to see you.
It's good to see you too. Happy birthday, Shefa.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
68.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm just a year behind you.
Oh, yeah. Wow. Right there.
You're 60. You're 67.
7.
I'm going to be 67 in August.
In August.
So 66. You're 66.
Yeah,
And Ruth's
yeah.
66.
Yeah, I fell asleep in the first part of the chanting, but then
Oh, that was some heat.
I'm really, I'm just feeling very tired today. I had to go to the doctor and just wore me up.
Yeah.
And, but when we were chanting ehnu-lah, I remembered when we were in retreat how we used to call the well up and plant it here.
Yeah. Wow. That's a good image.
Yeah.
Debbie,
So I was planting the well.
Are you just arriving, Debbie, on it?
We're finishing.
We're finishing. This is. Oh.
Yeah.
You're muted. But.
Janice, I think when you went to sleep, I think there was some healing, angel healing happening.
Right through.
What?
I was asleep.
You were asleep also.
Oh,
Okay.
you were asleep.
No, next time I won't sleep. I will be here.
Okay, good.
Yeah, we will
Good.
have one next week. Yes.
Yeah, we will.
Erev Pesach. Erev.
Something. Stephanie Cohen is a great friend of mine.
Who?
Who is?
Stephanie Cohen.
Oh, yes. Oh.
Are you in Albuquerque?
I've lived in Albuquerque, but I've been in California now for 10 years.
Oh.
But I correspond all the time.
Okay.
She's like an angel, and so she told me about you. So that's why I signed up. But I'm not accustomed enough to do it at the correct time.
You didn't come at the beginning.
I didn't come at the beginning.
Yeah, you gotta come early.
Really? Yes, of course.
Early. If you're not early, you're late.
You're right, and thank you very much.
Because you don't know what's going on then when you come in.
I'm late, so thank you.
All right. Well, maybe we'll see you again sometime.
Next week. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Thank you even speaking to me.
Sure. I'm gonna read the chat. I have to read the chat now.
So, Chef, I hope to see you next week. And if I don't, I wish you a good Pesach and a meaningful Pesach, and have a very happy birthday.
Yeah. So you're healing.
I'm healing. I had my blood work today, and I'm hoping for a good report tomorrow. And then if I have a good report, then we're going to drive to Boulder for Pesach. And if I didn't get a good report, we'll stay here for another week or so.
Yeah. That's a big energy output.
Yeah. Everything's a big energy output.
Maybe you need to just rest.
Yeah, my doctor really thinks that I should just rest, and when we may end up putting it off another week. So I'm just going to go with my gut. I'm just putting the decision off till I get the numbers back and see. But yeah, it may be just delaying a week. I'm just going to listen to my inner wisdom.
Yeah.
So, what are you doing for your birthday?
I'm going sailing. So Devyani.
Yes.
Yeah.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. Good. I'm going sailing tomorrow.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Enjoy. I hope that it feels like flying and that it brings you much joy and is just a force of a year that feels like sailing.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Good night.
Good night. I'm reading the chat.
Yeah, I want to do that.
There's all this people. There's a lot of chat going on. I'm going to start to read the beginning.
You stop recording.